Welcome back to the Act 2 podcast, a podcast for the real-life working screenwriter. I'm Tasha Hugh.
And I am Josh Hallman.
And we are Act 2, a network and support group for the everyday working screenwriter. This podcast is one of the things we do. I always love to skip this part when we have guests, because who cares? We have guests, Josh.
We have guests. We have Kristen Tepper, Nic Curcio from Harry Potter. We are rocking and rolling, and we have guests. Should I start off how this came to be?
Yes, I love lore.
Okay. So back in the day, I used to make YouTube videos. Tasha, you know this. I used to make pitch videos. I made a video about how to reboot Back to the Future, a Jaws thing. Then I started to make videos for my scripts, and I would like pitch them, and then they would kind of be companion pieces with my scripts. So I love like social media in that respect. And then somehow along the way, so I abandoned that life of mine, and I started to see your videos. They popped up in my social feed, and I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. But you guys make videos pertaining to screenwriting, talking about your experiences about screenwriting. I found it fascinating and very helpful and informative. And I saw your videos. I sent it to Natasha. We've been circling you guys like a shark for quite some time, and then finally reached out to you. And now we have you on the podcast. How was that introduction?
That was
amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us. It's so funny because like I heard you guys talk obviously before we started recording, but then hearing you do the intro, I was like, oh my God, I've been listening for a very long time.
It's real. We're here. It's good to see you guys. I also was flooding Josh Hallman with your guys' stuff that was coming onto my feed as well. And mostly mine was like, how do they have the time to do this? So I'm really excited to get into that part of this interview is how do you guys manage your writing career as well as your social media career? I am infinitely impressed. Josh.
Let's take like 500 steps back.
Yeah, let's get started. And I guess you guys start with introducing yourselves and telling us who you are, where you're from. We always love to start with guests of, like where they went to school, how, and then like what was the moment or series of moments that made you want to become a writer and get into this crazy ass business?
Nick, you go only because all I can think about since Josh said Harry Potter is that you have a similarity to the boy they posted yesterday who is going to be Harry Potter. Like you both have the swoop cute hair.
Well, we can get into it later. I don't mind the Harry Potter comparison, but I will say it is one of the top comments that I get when people are mad at me or they want to make fun of me. I get John Lennon, I get Harry Potter, and I get the Ghost Hunter guy.
I think all those people are lovely. Well, John Lennon.
And just to clarify, I wasn't saying you looked like Harry Potter.
I know.
All right.
I did that.
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
We were talking about it's Crucio? Crucio.
Oh,
The
Crucio
spell.
is the spell.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah. So it all makes sense. Sorry, that was so off track.
Have you ever dressed up as Harry Potter for Halloween?
I never have, but I do love Harry Potter.
Missed opportunity. Just throwing it out there. Option.
Okay, so yeah, I went to
Sorry.
what was the question? I went to UCLA. I was an English major. Basically, my whole life, I always loved writing, but I was writing like bad poems, short stories, fiction, stuff like that. Thought I would be maybe an English teacher or write novels or a journalist or something. And then sort of in that period between my undergrad and then eventually grad school, I started sort of writing screenplays and messing around with that. And I didn't have a ton of like film friends. So I was like, how can I find a group of people to sort of start to mess around and make movies? And that was when I decided to apply to film school. So I went back, actually got back into UCLA, was going to go, and then USC took me off the wait list. So I retracted from UCLA, and I think they knew. They were like, can you tell us why? And I was like scared to tell them. So I was just like, it's not a good fit. And went to USC, and then just sort of did the whole film school thing, and then I was a writer director, but I came out knowing I was best at writing and decided to pursue screenwriting.
Was there a moment for you, like a class you took or you saw a movie in theaters and was like, what the fuck am I doing writing poems? Was there like an actual turning point for you where you decided to go from, because I have the same journey, and for me, there is a very clear turning point from going the literary route to going screenwriting?
I've always been really, really into movies. Like my dad showed me, Die Hard and Point Break and like all the cool dad movies when I was young. I think it was just something about being even an undergrad and just meeting new people and There were some people I knew, they weren't like making movies, but I had friends that were very into movies. And some of them who were like, oh yeah, your parents didn't show you like French New Wave films? Like my parents are cool. And so there was a lot in undergrad of like, oh, I need to watch, like I need to really get caught up and watch a lot of movies. So I think part of it was just meeting people who are cinephiles and really getting into like watching a lot of stuff.
Your dad sounds awesome.
I know he does.
Yeah.
I feel like it's also realizing that you can do this for a job. I sort of, if I, like, even though I watched so many movies, I also read books. And for some reason I thought books is a job, screenwriting, not a job. I just didn't understand it until, I met other people.
Yeah.
Kristen.
Yeah, when I was really young, I was writing Nancy Drew fan fiction on this website called Her Interactive. That's like my main intro into it was like they have games too. I was like really into Nancy Drew. So I was like writing my made up stories and I was like, this is fun. And then I think I got really into like drugs and partying and kind of forgot. I ended up at the University of Missouri to get a communications degree.
Go on.
Yeah. I was the best experience ever, like college wise. There you would get 3 shots for 75 cents.
Wow.
Yeah, it was called the triple well. Like it was
That's
just
not
you
healthy.
no, I mean, so unsafe for like so many reasons. But like the best college experience. And I just like kind of, I think my mom told me when I was young, I was like, I'm gonna move to LA. I had never been there, never been to California. And she was like, I don't know why this kid is thinking about this town. And so in college, I took like one screenwriting class and I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, I don't know what to do with this though. And my parents were like, you need a real degree. You're not going. And wasting time getting like an English degree is so lovely. I didn't think it would be a waste. My parents were like, that's not what we're doing. But so I left college. I took a few classes at Second City and I was like in Chicago. And I was like, oh yeah, like I like this. I like all these weird people and that they're all like following a really crazy dream. And then from there I just moved out to LA and I have a pretty business focused brain. And I was like, I know I could be an assistant. And that's kind of like more of the trajectory of the path that I took. I ended up being a personal assistant and just kind of figuring that out. And like as far as I don't know if there was ever one moment because I feel like it was ingrained in my little brain for no reason, but I do remember making videos with my friend Chrissy Monaco. She's a full name friend, apparently. Gotta go full name in case she ever hears this. But we had this little blue recorder and we would like film all these videos in her backyard. And I think even then it was just kind of like, yeah, this is what I might do if someone lets me. So I
Wow.
think that's yeah.
So I'm gonna stop you because I feel like you skipped some parts,
Oh
and
God.
we're all about getting into the details. So,
Yeah.
you became a personal assistant. So was that like a job board? Someone recommended you, and was the personal assistant someone in the industry?
Yeah. So it was I first got an internship unpaid, the usual. I was reading a lot of scripts. And then from that I met somebody who invited me into the, iconic Awesome Assistants group. And then I invited my friends into it. And we were all, they posted jobs and someone had posted in there that they were looking for a part-time personal assistant, which was perfect because I was still doing marketing for car dealerships. That was like my day job before I got
Nice.
into this. Yeah, loved it. Interesting folk. And so the personal assistant job, I literally went in, he was a film producer. His name is Brian Kavanaugh Jones. He's like still very much my go-to guy to this day. Went in, talked to him for 5 minutes, and he was like, "You got it." And I was like, okay. And like his other assistant hugged me because he was like, I've been so overwhelmed. I can't keep doing
Aw.
the job of 2 people.
Can I ask, was there something specific that you did that got you the job?
You know what? I do think because of the organized and the business type brain, like I just know I'm like, I can run a calendar, I can answer your calls, I can multitask. Like I make lists for everything. And I think those types of skills and being able to say that you can do them gives comfort to someone who maybe doesn't know how to organize things so granularly. So I think that might have been it. I also think he just really needed someone and he was like, I don't want to meet with anybody else. You seem kind of normal.
Yeah, right. You're not crazy. You're
Yeah.
hired.
And then how did you two connect?
Through TikTok.
hmm
Go
Oh,
on.
we should also say you guys host a podcast together. Yes, so you met through TikTok.
Shout out the Hollywood Hang podcast. Yeah, so I think we were both in that. This was a while back. Was this like a year and a half maybe ago?
Yeah.
So we were both posting a lot of videos about the industry. I don't really know how we sort of slowly, I think just the usual, like we follow each other and then you like each other's videos and you leave
Well,
comments.
and I had to have been dating my boyfriend is a manager and Nick is repped at their company, and I think that was, like, kind of a cross, and I work with them a lot in market or, like, for pitch decks and stuff, and so I think that was also, like, a thing that we had in common, and then we ended up going and grabbing, like, a coffee or something at I don't know why I remember that was Highly Likely in Highland
No,
Park,
yeah.
shout out, great place. Um, but yeah, and then I think it just, like, morphed into us, like, having very common ideology? That sounds crazy.
Philosophies, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. And going back to Tepper, she's like the most producery writer that I know, just very good at not just like the networking stuff, but kind of, I don't know, just facilitating things. Like I think we did a live together on TikTok at one point, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, you guys should do a podcast together," because people hadn't seen us like, on the same screen. But there was a phase where we were like, "Should we do a podcast? Should we figure something out?" And then sometimes Tepper would just have interesting opportunities or meet interesting people, and then she would kind of just like add me to that meeting or say, "Hey, I'm meeting this person. Like, do you want to join the call?" So it's kind of just a natural. Yeah, I don't know. I think we always just knew like, let's work on something together. Like we're both doing this thing, so.
Have you guys written together?
We tried to come up with one outline because I had met a specific producer, and it was, like, right in Nick's vein. Like, it's kind of like I like thrillers and stuff, but this person was a big horror guy, and I was like, "Nick, like, I think we could find something." We should probably pick that back up.
Yeah, we've just been so busy with the podcast
Yeah.
and other things. Yeah, we should.
How'd you guys get into posting videos? Like what was the start? So you post videos pertaining to screenwriting, tips, like thought. It's pretty much everything. It's the whole, you're under the umbrella, you're giving your thoughts, you're giving reactions to certain things. And how did that come to be? Like what was the start of it? And were you reluctant to do it?
For me, it was during the writer's strike. Like I had always kind of been on TikTok and posted joking videos, probably I don't- like not even using my voice, just kind of, people make jokey TikTok videos. So since the pandemic, I had just been posting here and there. But during the strike, that was when I started to see just a lot of misinformation on TikTok about the strike and a lot of people talking about the strike who weren't necessarily in the guild. So that was when I originally started making a lot more videos than usual because I wanted to talk about what was going on. And, there's a lot of drama with like some of the film influencers were not talking about movies because they were sort of in solidarity. And then there were some influencers who were actors who were like, "Hey, like I'll work for you guys studios, like hit me up." And so there was just a lot of drama going on there. So that was when I started posting a lot more. And that was the reason originally why I put WGA Screenwriter in my actual username, is because I wanted people to know I was in the guild. That would later become a dramatic thing because there were other people on the app that I've beefed with, and they're like, "This guy's not even in the WGA. Why would he say he's in the WGA? He's like, say that thing." Originally, I put that in there so that people would know I'm in the guild, I'm striking, this is why I'm talking about the stuff. That was how I first started like posting a lot.
There was drama that you weren't in the WGA?
There was so much drama.
Yeah, I've tried to like move past that kind of stuff, but there's been a lot of, yeah, I'm blocked by a couple people who are screenwriters on there.
Who, like, broke in, like, 1974. Just a different world.
Tasha knows this about me. I take grudges. I love them. I take them to the grave. I nourish them. I sprinkle them with water and I let them blossom. And
He
I suggest
does.
everyone else should. It's unhealthy, but
I love that.
I am the opposite. I have zero grudges. Everything's cool, man. It's fine.
That's actually perfect.
You hate me? That's fine too. That's great. Can I ask, before we go to you, Kristen, I'm sorry, Nick, where were you at in your screenwriting career when the strike hit and you were like, I need to start informing people? Like, what is that gap between you going to USC and then TikTok?
So I got very lucky. So I finished USC in 2018 as a writer-director and kind of came out. I had a nickel semifinalist script that I quickly wrote at the end because I lost faith in my thesis film and I didn't have a feature. So I wrote a script, got some nickel accolades, got my manager pretty quickly off that. And then I was an assistant for 1 year exactly in 2019, production company, and then a director. And then the first sort of big stunt script that I took out with my manager ended up on the blacklist. And it was what we were like trying to sort of do a very stunty thing, and it worked. And so that got me my agents. And so by the top of 2020, I was like doing a big general circuit while I was an assistant, doing a bunch of meetings, and then got an offer to go work at Sony Animation in March of 2020. So I was at like Sony Animation for maybe a year and a half, and then I had done a couple other like studio open writing assignments. So it was like, yeah, it was going good for me. Like, I think the strike, I always think of my career sort of pre-strike and post-strike. I think a lot of us do now, because I feel like it signaled like a philosophical shift in how I felt about this job, and also it just feels like a shift in the whole industry, you know.
Can I dig a little deeper?
Tasha is an investigative reporter, and
I
I'm
am.
obsessed.
Because I'm such a curious person, so every time you say something, 5 new questions come up. So because Josh and I talk a lot about this on the podcast, about writing a script specifically to get on the blacklist. So that's what your team did, right? You're like, we got to get something that's really snazzy. Can you talk about, just briefly, because I know this podcast is not about that, but can you talk about like sort of maybe what the concept was, or how you went about thinking about doing that?
I love this concept.
Yeah, no, so the first manager I had, we're not working together anymore. There's nothing, you know, we're no bad blood between us. It was Jeff Portnoy at Bellevue, and this management company, Bellevue. If the listeners are into screenwriting and the blacklist, then you know that they're kind of like the blacklist company. They're very good at coming up with crazy concepts. And I'd read all those scripts because I love reading blacklist scripts. So like 2 minutes into my first meeting with that manager, I was like, can we write one of those crazy blacklist scripts? And he was like, we can do it one time, but if it's not good, people are going to say you're like hacky and it could be cringe, but like we'll do it one time, and it has to be the perfect concept. So we eventually came up with this idea. We went through a bunch of ideas that just weren't good, and zeitgeisty things that weren't really zeitgeisty. And then eventually we came up with this idea of, what if it's about Barron Trump sabotaging his dad's election, or trying to.
Oh,
And so
amazing.
it was kind of one of those pseudo biopics where it used all these real life events, and real life people, but at the end of the day, it was like a work of fiction. It was kind of just, it was like clickbait, the script version. It's kind of how I would describe it, but it was really fun, and it sort of, that year on the blacklist, it kind of created some drama, and like I remember people would try to kind of ask Franklin Leonard, like, what's up with that script? Like, oh, I've heard he's writing about this kid. And Franklin had these incredible answers, because like the people who were mad about it didn't read the script. The script was, ultimately it's fiction, and also it just portrays a kid who doesn't want his family to be in the limelight because it'll like mess up his social life. So yeah, that was the script that kind of got everywhere, and it did everything it was supposed to do and more, and a lot of like hate tweets and
I'm sure.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Between TikTok and your Baron script,
Yeah.
Jesus
No, you're
Christ.
you're a hated man.
Drama.
He's rolling in it.
Wait, so now the question becomes, how did you go from a Barron Trump script to working at Sony Animation? Those two things do not go together.
No, it's completely. The crazy thing is, like, at that time, I didn't know. The craziest part is I said no to that job because I was an assistant, and I kind of had like brainwashed assistant brain. I had incredible bosses, but I think the idea was, it was a very small company, and these were like my mentors. The idea was, when an opportunity finally comes for you, like, we'll help you get there. So I got the offer to work at Sony Animation, and I told my reps politely no. It was like, I need to be an assistant. So then they kind of like called me on like this big conference call, and they're like, dude, I think you're a little, you're going to be like a screenwriter. It's okay to quit the job even if your bosses are mad. So eventually I was like, oh yeah, you're right. But in terms of that script, I think, yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of people think that you have to kind of write a script in the style of the movie you want to get hired on. But like, I used to think that too. I used to think to write a Marvel movie, I had to write this awesome, like, original superhero movie. But I think often places are just looking for, unique writing. And the movie I worked on, Goat, which is coming out next year, it's a comedy, and it's a coming of age comedy about this little goat. So there was kind of more overlap than it sounds, but yeah, it was amazing.
I think that's a very good just tip for everybody, because I also recently met at Disney, and the sample they read, and the opening scene is children being murdered. And I was like, I'm so sorry my rep sent that to you. They're like, no, it was so like so refreshing. But B, like the story that you're telling of the characters within this are exactly what we're looking for. We just need to Disneyfy it, but like we don't want to read the Disney scripts. We want to read stuff like this. So that's a really great tip.
I want to read that. Please, if you're allowed to send it.
Yeah,
The opening got me.
It's become a joke that I like to kill children in my script. I don't know if that's funny or not, but it is the joke.
Kristen, you can just throw a dart at one of the scripts.
And I'll find a dead kid. Perfect.
Kristen, same questions back at you. How did talk about the process of getting into the writing world and then starting on social media?
Yeah. Well, so personal assistant, that morphed really quickly by like I started in January 2019 and it morphed into marketing for Honey Boy, which is Alma Harrell's like big directorial debut. It was like one of Amazon's earlier features. I like got lucky. I was posting on Brian's production company's page and Alma saw it and she was like, that girl's funny. She's gonna run my social. And Amazon was like, okay, like can't say no to the director. We're not sure what's going on yet. So I went and like ran on that and it was amazing. And then like at the end of the year, BKJ, Fred Berger is his producing partner. They were like, you should start a marketing company. And I was like, I want to be a screenwriter. And they're like, love that. It will take a minute and you should want to make money in the interim. And I was like, smart, good idea. So kind of like off tracked and ran, it's still to this day Cherry Bomb, like a marketing company that's all referral based. It's other producers, other studios, streamers. And so it was like that was kind of what my trajectory was going, and that was what instigated my first TikTok actually, guys, was I was sitting on a porch on a swinging bench listening to Swing Away by Rise Against, if anyone knows that song. And I was like, wow, this is really fitting. And that TikTok did really well. It was like the first thing I ever posted, and then I never posted again. I was like, no, I don't know how this app works. And I think like a year and a half or so later, it was like a little bit, it was still COVID, like masks were being worn, like the like overlaying mask was being worn on set when I went to go work near actors and stuff. And I was like, I'm pretty well off in this film marketing thing. Like I should talk about this as my trajectory. So that was where my TikTok started. It's much more industry, business, film marketing side was like my entryway. And then that had to be like 2021 because then I got on the blacklist in 2022.
What script was it?
It's called Better Luck Next Time. It's a very dark, campy comedy. I say it's basically an unhitching script. It's these two girls who will date your bad ex and make his life miserable.
Oh,
That's brilliant.
amazing.
That sounds so
Can
far
I
up my
hire
alley.
them immediately?
Yeah. It was very like very of the time. Every time I like go do an update too, it's just there's something more to add. I'm like the manosphere exists now. There's like each year there's something else. But yeah, and so I had gotten on the blacklist and then I was like, okay, I can like talk about why I'm doing film marketing because my real dream is to be a screenwriter. And it like gave me the confidence boost to kind of like mix the two.
Did you have a same conversation with your reps that Nick did?
No.
Or was this like a surprise to you to get on the blacklist?
I didn't have reps. I know it's like a very random, I was very lucky because I had done film marketing with all these producers and all the assistants that I had worked with. And those assistants were becoming coordinators. And at that time, earlier in that year, I had sent out Better Luck Next Time. And I was like, hey, like, will you guys read this? And, like your friends are fellow assistants or fellow coordinators, and they're like trying to do their best. They're like, I love this, but my boss does action movies. And I'm like, fair, like valid. I just wanted to see if people liked it. And in November of that year, my friend Kirsten had reached out and she's like, I'm going to vote for you for Blacklist. And I was like, oh. And she was like, now you need to go pitch yourself to anybody else who might have read this and then send it out to 50 more people in the hopes that like 5 people will vote. And I was like, I don't like selling myself. Like, I don't think it's good enough. And she was like, do it. And she was like, I'll find someone to help you. This kid, Willie, was like, I'll read it and I'll send it out if it's like good and I'll help you out. He also helped me meet like all of these managers. He was just like a godsend. He's so lovely. But yeah, it was kind of like, I didn't know until it went out and I was like, oh, like, yeah, I made it. I guess this is it now.
So you did not have reps and you still took your script out. Is that because you had such a Rolodex, and for the children, that just means a contact list of all the people in the industry that because of your day job?
Yeah, I think so. And it was really like, it wasn't that many people. I was very cognizant after working. Brian does horror, Fred does musicals. I don't know how they ended up being producing partners, but I really understood at that point that like it's really hard to find the right person for your project. Do you know what I mean? And so like I was just sending it out more as like, is this good? Like, can I do this? And I had had a few successes with like the other side of the blacklist, like grading wise. And I was like, I'm on to something. I think I can risk the ideas like, simple and people get it when you say it. And so it was just more of like, is this good? It wasn't like I think someone will make this because I don't think any of my friends at that time worked at like the places that I thought would produce it. So it was more of just like a test of the waters. And then it grew into something like obviously much better than I could have imagined.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was exciting.
That's actually the first story like that I've heard for someone who got on the blacklist.
I was going to say, to my knowledge, it's like the only
Yeah.
situation. Yeah.
There are other people, they just sometimes have production companies, but no reps. So it's like there are others out there
That's super
wandering.
cool.
Yeah.
Were you just getting ton of messages to rep you afterward?
Yes, which was like lovely because I had done querying and like I got like 2 people that responded and they were like, "We'll read it," and then they never heard back and I was like, "Okay, not my vibe." Or not, I'm not your vibe, that's okay. So it was really nice to have like the people come to you and like, ask for meetings and the producers and the agents and like everybody kind of wanted to talk. So it was really fun to like kind of have that. But in the same vein, there were managers I wanted to meet that didn't reach out. And so I was kind of like, "Oh, should I reach out now and, like, go after them?" Willie was also being like, "This person, talk to me because they know I know you and, like, I can help you meet them." So
I don't know this guy, but I love Willie.
He's great. What a great guy.
I've heard enough.
he's so amazing. Yes, and then it was so lovely, but by the time I had finally picked my managers, the next month was the strike. So
Oh, fun.
yeah. So, like, all the momentum was, like, really done.
Is that when you really started to post about screenwriting then?
A little bit. I think Nick is so good at it that, like, it intimidates me to post about screenwriting. I think I still am more, like, industry news, like, what's going on based. Now that I'm a showrunner's assistant, I think it's fun to kind of, like, pull back like, what the room is like because it's such an unknown for so many people. So I think, like, it was still screenwriting, but it's a little bit more of, like, my journey of trying to figure it out and less like, "This is what I think." Nick's just so good at, like, advice, and I'm like, "Oh, he's right. That is what I try to do." But I can never put it into contextual phrases and words and videos. So I leave that to him.
Nick, since you're so good at it, can you describe what you do on social media and then where the hell you find time to do it?
There's 2 components to what I talk about on social media. The first is, I talk about screenwriting. I make videos. I mean, we've been saying advice, but I think the reason I started talking about screenwriting is because I was just upset with like the very objective advice on like screenwriting, Twitter, and these arguments people have. And even when I was in film school, my writing classes, the ridiculous arguments of why are my classmates telling me I shouldn't have put that song in the script? This is a screenwriting class. This movie's not being made. Like stuff like that, that just like the stuff that I rant about to my writer friends. And a lot of it came from that. So I think the difference between me and a lot of other people who talk about screenwriting is like, I don't have like a class to sell or I don't have a book. I'm kind of the guy who's just like, don't listen to everything you hear. Like, your film professor or your screenwriting professor, like they're great, but also like, here's what's happening right now. I had people telling like everyone in my life told me not to write that Barron script because they're like, dude, I'd be careful with that. And I felt like, don't tell me what to write. Like, I just feel like there's a lot of fear with screenwriting. There's a lot of people that are like, you can't do this, you can't do that. And it's like, it's art, it's writing.
You also have examples, which is like my favorite part.
Yeah, that's kind of another type of video I love to make is when, there's a viral, Twitter thread today about if you ever put a picture on your cover page, you'll be blacklisted. It's so unprofessional. So then I get on TikTok and I'm like, here's 20 scripts that are most of which are being made from the last 10 years that have put pictures on the cover page. So it's just like, the sort of debunking. I like doing that kind of thing. So that's kind of the first type of video that I make. And then what I've started doing a lot now is just talking about movies that I like. So I'm not, a film critic or anything like that. I'm very biased because I want all movies to succeed and I want this industry to succeed. So, I never talk about movies that I don't like, but whether it's an obscure indie film or Superman, I'll get on and talk about what I like about movies. And so that's kind of become a second thing that I talk about now as well. And then in terms of the time, it depends on the type of video I'm making. If it's the type of video where I'm gathering a bunch of examples and screenwriting pages and things like that, that can be, a little more, takes a little more time. But in terms of if I go to a meeting and I talk to a producer or another screenwriter and we have a great conversation and there's a nugget in there that in the back of my brain, I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. Talk about that. It's pretty easy for me to like, once I park, I just like record a video in my car and I'm like, here's this little thing and I kind of rant and then later I edit it to make myself sound smarter. So like that kind of thing is not very time consuming for me. But yeah, there is a level of production when you're making more of like a video. But it is time consuming. Like I think there was kind of a switch up for me once I started to make money from it because I think then it became more of like a part-time job. I mean, yeah, right now I would consider it a part-time job and like as weird as it sounds, because people do ask me, like the other day, somebody was like, man, like you just post so much stuff. Like, are you even writing anymore? And I was like, it's so funny because everything I post, I see that you like it like immediately. And so you're on social media as well constantly. You're addicted too, but you're just scrolling and I'm like, I don't have time as much to scroll, but I'm posting a lot of stuff.
You're creating.
Yeah. I think once you're able to monetize it a little bit, then ironically for me, it helped with my writing because we all know screenwriting is one of the most unstable jobs you can pick ever. And pre-strike, I was sort of had the early success and I was like, oh, I'm really good at open writing assignments. And if I can get one studio job a year, like I'm going to do great at this. And then I sort of had my first year where it was like, oh, I pitched on every board game, candy bar, video game, book, comic that was thrown at me. And sometimes you just don't get any of those. And so that, I think, learning early on the ups and downs of this kind of like sent me into a little spiral and it just became very stressful for every time I'm pitching on something. All I could think was like, what if they don't hire anyone for this? What if they don't hire me for this? And it just gave me a lot of anxiety. And so now, I've like the past 6 months, I think I've been able to pay my rent and bills just from TikTok. So like, ironically, yes, I'm spending more time on it, but I think just the fact that I'm getting money for the work I do every month, which screenwriters don't do, it's kind of helped even out my, my stress a little bit and kind of just, yeah, which I know sounds weird, but it's just kind of been, I think it helps with my writing because I'm less crazy.
Yeah. And it's also great because it's in not just your orbit, but like when you are doing things that pertain to the entertainment industry and you're making money doing it, it's much more helpful when you're maybe doing another 9-to-5 job that doesn't have anything to do with the entertainment industry and you're just kind of thinking about writing, but you're doing something else. And that can, I think everyone's been there. It really can mess with your head where you're like, oh my God, is this my path? Am I going to be working in this restaurant forever or, in this business job forever? Like, is this what it's going to be as opposed to, being in the entertainment world, posting about entertainment stuff, being able to write so it all interconnects.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm trying to find, and I think the thing at first it wasn't really the synergy wasn't hitting, but now it's really hitting, and like I think the more I spend time on the TikTok stuff, it kind of feeds into my career because I've had a ton of meetings through TikTok, random execs. This like studio exec reached out the other day and like asked to meet with me, and I was like, what is this? We didn't send him anything, and my manager's just like, I don't know, like maybe he saw your TikTok or something. So I think it all helps and it puts me at, nobody invites me as a screenwriter to like premieres, but like as the guy who talks about screenwriting on TikTok, oh, now I can go to the premiere. Okay. I'll take it. But then it's like, I wanted to be here anyway. Now I can talk to these people and producers and meet people. And, so yeah, I think there is like a synergy that I'm finding now.
I also think studio execs love to meet writers who have a command of story and just seem to be able to articulate it. because they can't. So when they hear you, Nick, they're like, genius, absolute, like he understands. And I talked to, A-list screenwriters who I think get a lot of jobs not because of their ideas. Their ideas are as good as any of ours. It's because they have figured out a way to speak about story that makes the people who are hiring them feel really comfortable handing the keys of a franchise over to them. And that's something that you guys both clearly excel at. And Nick, you do very well in your videos. Is I'm always like, same as you were saying, Kristen, I was like, how does he articulate himself so well? And then like in this breakdown of this script or in this breakdown of this movie. And so it's not a wonder at all that a studio exec reached out to you. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, that was actually going to be a question that I had for both of you guys is, have you found yourselves talking about your social media in meetings, or have people off the bat said, oh, I saw you on TikTok or Instagram or whatever it may be? Like, are you finding yourselves in that scenario more often?
Oh, 1000%. The job that I have now is because of, as a showrunner assistant, is because of my TikTok. Well, my TikToks, and then I have a Substack because, again, I find writing to be much more comfortable to explain myself. It gives me more time to like process. And I had wrote a big how to make a pitch deck because that's a very like a chunk of my job. And my showrunner boss now found the TikToks, then found that, and then reached out and was like, "Do you want to do a pitch deck for me?" Of course. I had like looked at, I was like, "He's a good writer. Like, I do want to," because I get some people that I'm like, I don't know if I should, I don't know if you're real, if I should work on your pitch deck or not. And so we worked together and we just really vibed. And he reached out and he was like, "Do you know anyone who would want to be a showrunner assistant?" And I was like, "Me, hello." I can't get into TV because I'm on the feature side like so heavily. But yeah, a ton of other meetings. The other day, my boyfriend was like, "One of my friends who's a manager saw your TikToks, and like he said, if you wanted to meet, he would love to meet with you." Because my managers actually broke up with me a month or two ago. Yeah, it was like one, not the shock of my life. I kind of like was feeling that it might come, but it was more just like, oh my God, like my life's over. And then I got the showrunning assistant job and I was like, oh, my life is fine.
You're
It's
back.
back like I never left. But yeah, so like a lot of, not a ton of producers, but like I would definitely say like out of every 5 meetings I was having, at least 1, maybe 2 were from this arena, or were just like, "I've seen your face." And I'm like, "Hi, thanks."
By the way, that's great that you rebounded, because we talk about this often. Like with writing, we all are in a great spot where we can have a really bad year, get dropped, lose jobs, but you can always write yourself out of the problem, and now you can create yourself out of the problem in a sense, So it's another avenue for screenwriters to just stay around and not be forgotten by reps or producers or whoever it may be. And Nick, are you getting it all the time when you go into meetings?
Yeah, I think so. Whenever it was when we thought TikTok was going to be deleted, was that 6 months ago or something? Like, I'd been resisting posting to Instagram for so long, and I know I even had to eventually convince Tepper to do it. But
It's horrible.
yeah, TikTok is just, there's this, the algorithm is so good, and it's just so anonymous. Like you get the feeling that no one you know in real life is ever going to see you on there. And so it feels very safe. And Instagram is like, oh, why would I repost my stuff on there? That's like real people who know me. But once I started doing that, only because I thought TikTok was going to be deleted, then I started realizing, oh, there's like a whole audience of people who don't use TikTok. Just so many people just have never been on there. So then I started reposting all my stuff.
That's Tasha and I.
You're like, "It couldn't be me."
We're dinosaurs, man.
That's how I found you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the same anyway. But it's just, there are people, I someone who has both. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And so once I started crossing over my stuff, then I got a lot more people who, especially industry people, who were just seeing my stuff for the first time. And I think that was when I started, like, I'd get on meetings and people would like bring it up, like, "Oh, yes, I've seen your stuff." And now most meetings that I go on, people mention it, and at first is like kind of embarrassing, and yeah, I don't know. It's good. It's just it takes getting used to.
You actually bring up a really good point about being anonymous, because I think a lot of people don't want to be vulnerable and put themselves out there, especially on Instagram, where everyone, you're friends with most of the people, and then it's like you moved, you're from a different state, you're out here, and then someone sees you like, what are you doing with your life? You're making this, or you're making pitch videos, or you're doing this. And it's hard to do. I think like, I'm sure there's other people who are trying to replicate what you guys do. And I bet a lot of them don't do it because they become too vulnerable.
It's so cringe. It's so cringe. But once you get over the cringe, like I schedule for Instagram at least, I schedule a lot of it. That's some of my older TikToks. And then it just happens. Today I accidentally scheduled 2 this morning. And I was like, well, there's 2 videos of my face up, and that's just a problem for somebody else to see.
Yeah, you just have to get over the hump, right? Like it's the posting hump.
It's a big hump.
Yeah, but I also think that people are, aside from just like the social anxiety of like, ironically, screenwriters are expected to perform in pitches, right? But we don't necessarily show our faces on the internet and talk about stuff. And like from some of the comments that I see of people mad at me when all I'm saying is that there's basically no rules. And, like the crazy comments that I get, I'm like, oh yeah, this is why people don't do it more, is because you're kind of inviting this thing to come out at you. It's, the screenwriting Reddit or the screenwriting Twitter. Like it's crazy because that's the stuff why I started posting in the first place. But it's also, I see why it's so frustrating or that people are scared to do it.
I think that ship has sailed, though. If we're screenwriters, we expect to have our movies and our TV shows produced. It's going to happen. It's going to happen to us regardless. So might as well make something useful of it, right? I mean, start now learning how to ignore comments, really.
Yeah.
Because it's going to happen regardless. People are going to shit on your movie, Nick, when it comes out. And why? It is a goat movie.
You're like, it's just a goat trying to find his way.
It's a coming of age. Like, it's so beautiful, but they don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, actually, because I'm like friends with a lot of the sort of movie talk influencers now. And
that's a great point.
So I'm like, it's okay, guys. You can say whatever you want to say. My feelings won't be hurt.
You're like, my feelings will be deeply hurt, but it's okay.
Yeah, of course. I'd be like, I thought we were friends, man. What are you doing? Shitting on goat? I'm just kidding. It's going to be great. Has posting hurt you guys in any way, shape, or form?
People have asked me that a lot. I mean, I feel like it probably has, but it's like people aren't telling us that. Like, I'm sure there are people that are like, oh, this is just not the vibe, or this is embarrassing. Or there was a director who said to me, like, you're so brave. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, you're just so honest about the industry. And like, I'd be worried that studios wouldn't want to hire me, or like blowback from execs or something. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I think before I post each video, I always think like, what would happen if like 1 million people saw this? Because it's possible. And so I think as long as you stand by what you're posting and act as if everyone and the whole industry is going to see it, and just kind of be careful. But
I don't think, no one has told me that it has hurt me, but I do think someone the other day was like, oh, some of like your videos are like pretty politically charged. And I'm like, it was about Superman. Like the entire movie was a political statement. I was like, and things like that are definitely more of me, like just my personality that I like cannot not say about stuff. So I think that I'm sure there's someone out there who has been deeply offended by a video of mine. But for movie stuff, because I do tend to make videos just about like the state of the world a little bit more, or just like I'm really obsessed with trad wives and what that means for like conservatism in this country. So like I do talk about that stuff randomly. So I do know that my content in that way is a little more like, oh, she's like very opinionated. Like, whoa. To the movie side though, the same as Nick, I watch a lot of movies. I don't make that many videos about movies because sometimes I'm like, oh, like I liked it. I didn't take enough away to like make a video. I didn't love it. And like, God, then there's some people like, Jurassic Park had some faults, but guys, I had fun. Or Jurassic World. And I was like, I love a dinosaur. I've loved dinosaurs since I was little. I thought I wanted to be an archaeologist when I was like 2. And like people were like, it was bad. And I was like, I don't know. I didn't think it was going to be an Oscar winner, so I had fun. Like, there's just like some different bars for me too when it comes to my enjoyment level in a theater.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it takes so much to make a movie, to get any movie made, and then like I don't understand people who just shit on things who don't make anything.
Yeah. Every movie is a miracle. It's like a baby. It's like, how did this even happen? It's just
when people talk about dialogue, I'm like, I want you write me a script, you write me a scene, and I want to see you act it out, my friend.
So do you guys think at this point, screenwriters should have a social media presence?
For me, if someone is like, I would like to make videos, I'm like, hell yeah, brother. Go get your video bag and like start making videos. What could you talk about for hours at nauseam? Like do that. There's a girl who I love, Caro Burke. She has a book coming out called Yesteryear. She started making TikToks like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years at this point, and it was all about like the trad wife world. So that's how I found her. Her book is also about a trad wife, but it was such a popular book bidding war that Anne Hathaway jumped on to produce the film like at the same time. And so I feel like if you have the drive and you have something you really want to talk about and you can be consistent, because I think that's also crucial, I say hell yeah. But if you're like, this would be miserable for me, I would feel like I'm pulling teeth. But you wanted to have like a presence, try a Substack. It's very writing forward. But like, I just think it's a hard ask, even though like everyone's a multi hyphenate. It's just hard and mean to ask that of like some people who feel so introverted.
Yeah, of course.
I love what you just said, Kristen, that if it's like pulling teeth, don't do that, because I think what a lot of people forget when you look at social media stuff is how much it's a job. So I do want to talk about that, because in a real life working screenwriter's life, if they say, okay, I'm at this hump and I really do love TikTok and I really do love Instagram and it is something I want to do, but I just have never figured out how to get started. Can you give a reality check to people who are interested in this and talk about what your day looks like in terms of hours you spend creating content for social media versus hours you spend doing screenwriting versus hours you spend doing your life things?
My life is complete. It's different every single day. I'm like very disorganized and chaotic. I think Tepper kind of has like, you have it down to a schedule.
I do, but also to my list making obsession, my day schedule is broken down by hour, basically. Like
Yeah,
what I can
mine
get
too.
done in an hour.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. So it's definitely, I would say again, like whatever you're excited about, like start writing that down in a note and be like, what could I keep talking about? But like for me, I wake up in the morning, I go to the gym, I come back, I try to squeeze in a TikTok before I come to the office. And while I'm in the office, I am like, I think you turn something on in your brain to figure out that everything in the world, which is disgusting, can be content. So I'm listening to writers talk and I'm like, that's the other day, they were just yes anding around this room. And I was like, it's improv. Like they're improving in this room about ideas about a script. And I'm like, that's a fun thing that I could share for like an online thing, like for a TikTok video. I to the same as what Nick said though, like it's my videos are like very lovely. Like I throw up a green screen and I'm like chatting it up really quick. I'll do them while I'm walking sometimes. So I don't think it's too much time. But, like, it is to go back and edit, and then I hate making hashtags, Nick, I don't know about you, but, like, doing the caption is really where I'm just like, "Ugh, I don't like this part." And the on-screen text always gets me. Nick always has really good on-screen text, like like when the video pops up and they've got that. But yeah, so then I go to work. When I was doing film marketing, it was great because I was making my own schedule. I could do whatever I wanted and I would film in between meetings. This is a lot more stringent on my time. So then the room is done. I finish up my work. I try to do like 1 to 2 TikToks after that. But also again to what Nick said, I scroll a little bit, but I spend a lot more time creating. So it's like I'm on the apps, but I'm not spending, which is maybe better. I still fall into a doom scroll, but like a little bit less. So I think that's promise yourself the same to screenwriting. Like screenwriting though I do in chunks. Like on Wednesday nights I'd go for like 4 hours, Saturday mornings I go for 4 hours because I'm not good at like I can write for 10 minutes. I don't know what I'll do in that time, 10 minutes not writing. So that's kind of how I like measure my time out, I guess.
Yeah, and I usually sometimes in the morning, well, often in the morning, it kind of takes me, I don't just immediately start writing. It takes me time to drink my coffee and watch some YouTube videos and like get my brain going. So I also like to record in the morning because it's like I feel like I'm not firing on all cylinders anyway. But I think, if you're trying to build a platform and do this, like the most important thing is that you just like even if you can post one video a day and it's like very quick, I think it's just the consistency that trains you to do it. There are people that maybe have our type of following, but they're like, this is all they want to do. They're maybe making, 5, 6, 7 videos a day. Whereas, yeah, I've been really busy lately, so I'm like, let me try to just keep hitting that one a day minimum. So as a screenwriter, even during my busiest times when I had like the most pitches and work to do, I would still waste a lot of time. Like I'm a, I think I'm a typical procrastinator. I'm a time waster. I'm a, scroller. And so I've tried to train myself to say, okay, if you're going to waste time and not write, then just go do something productive and make a video. Because yeah, even before I was making stuff, there was a lot of time where I wasn't writing. I think I'm just as undisciplined as a lot of screenwriters.
For a lot of your posts too, though, you're also clearly reading a lot, right? Because a lot of your stuff is going into a script and talking about just so many scripts that I didn't even know existed, to be totally honest. So you're reading a ton. Is it because of your job as a screenwriter? Is it because of your job as this content creator on social media? Did one just fuel the other?
Like when I sort of put up a script and read from it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when you break them down, like that means that you went through and read it when you're like, I love this page 72 from
That's the side of my brain where I'm like, oh, maybe someday, like I would like to just teach screenwriting, because if I usually have a reason, like, oh, this is a cool first page, but I can kind of read something and kind of just BS in real time about what I like about it. So that stuff's like very easy for me to do. Because yeah, it's just kind of like as I'm reading it, I'm just kind of monologuing what I'm thinking of, like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's really cool. I like how they did this. So that stuff, yeah, I want to get back to doing more of that. Like some of my biggest videos have been like I did the first page of Challengers. Like I want to get back to doing more of that stuff, but sometimes it's scripts that aren't out yet, and I'm like, oh, am I gonna get in trouble if I do this? Like I had Materialists, but I waited until the movie came out because I was like, somebody might get mad at me, and but I also think it's like educational. And at the end of the day, I'm still plugging these movies. But there are so many Blacklist scripts I want to talk about, but I'm like the Jordan Peele one. It was originally it was called Goat, and now I think it's called Him. But I wanted to talk about that one, but I'm like, oh, Jordan Peele projects are so secretive that I'm not going to talk about it. So a lot of the stuff I want to talk about, I can't yet.
Yeah, interesting.
That would be one of those scenarios where someone might hold it against you down the line. And they're like,
Yeah.
you son of a bitch. Why would you post this? This was like, you know better than that. This is GOAT.
Yeah, and it's kind of like not narc, but like it's almost like a journalism thing where sometimes like I have met people who it's kind of cool now because I'm always hunting for scripts. And so now I sometimes have random people DM me that are like, hey, you were talking about that script you couldn't find? Like, I'll send it to you. But then like I was meeting with a producer and he was talking to me about this project that never happened, but he was like, the script was one of the best scripts of all time. And I was like, dude, please. And we're friends. And I was like, please send it to me. But he's like, okay, but you can't post that. And I was like, I wouldn't post that. But he like won't send it to me because I think there's a thing that's like, oh, and I get that. I totally get that. But at the end of the day, it's like, oh, he's going to turn this script into an educational content. Like come on.
How scary. I also think like that's to what you said, Nick. There is, for anyone that's interested in starting out, you will find out really quickly what your audience is craving from you. I think like a few of like my best TikToks are normally when I kind of mix a history thing with a movie thing, or just like talk about like an IMDb fact that I really loved about a movie. I don't do them consistently, but anytime I do them, I'm like, I should do more of those. I don't follow my own brain and the own analytics, but those are very true. Like I think like you find a formula and the formula will tell you what you should keep making, which is kind of comforting, but then it like also can get you in a little box, which feels hard to break out of. There's a guy right now named Hub's Life who like is getting canceled because he just made content about his life. Like it was like very visually, you watched him like open up the fridge. I don't know. It was nice looking. But now and it was like my 9 to 5, and that's what he did every day. He quit his 9 to 5 because he's made so much money. And people are like, we don't care about you anymore because we liked your 9 to 5. So it's like a dicey crowd on these apps.
Gee, I love it. I love that you guys have the inside. I just have one last question before we wrap up. Have you guys ever thought about posting your screenplays? Like, have ever going around the system and just being, well, I guess, Kristen, you kind of did this with your Blacklist script, but not through social media. Like, have you ever thought about taking a social media approach with one of your scripts?
I went out with a script last year, and it was a pilot, a very like kind of like dark young adult Yellow Jackets pilot, and I got a ton of meetings from it. I think I pitched it maybe a few times actually. And nothing happened with it. And I was like, I love this script. I had made a pitch deck for it and I had shared that. I usually share pitch decks first. And then I was like, this script is going to sit in the middle of nowhere forever. And so I posted it to my Substack. I don't know if I've made a TikTok ever about it. But I still get people who will comment on my TikTok and be like, is this about Winnetka? Like, is this about that script? Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, nothing has come of it producer-wise, anything like that. My Substack's pretty small. So nothing has come of it that way. But it, like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know what else to do with this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick?
So I have a link on my TikTok that people can read my Blacklist script, and because I was like, it's on Reddit anyway, the drives, and the USC students, they all read Blacklist scripts, and so everybody has it. And then I've talked about a lot of scripts that are sort of like dead scripts, or that the stakes aren't as high to like share from this. Recently, I had a horror spec that I went out with, and like as we were going out, this is a much more taboo because it's like, you know, your team and it's supposed to be secret and like under wraps. But I posted the first page of it on Instagram kind of as we were going out. Got like a lot of traction, and there was like it wasn't like crazy response, but there was a couple really cool producers that weren't on the submission list who DM me and were like, can I read that? So I was like, that's worth it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think that's a whole nother level of like, you are opening, if you think you're opening yourself up to criticism for just talking about screenwriting,
Yeah.
even me, I'm like, you know, people might say, you're giving advice and this is what you wrote. I mean,
Oh, that's why
yeah.
my Blacklist script isn't in those drives, because the drives were collected by all of the assistants, and I had no managers to have assistants to. So people were DMing me and being like, can I have your Blacklist script? And I was like, if you're on Screenwriting Reddit, hell no, because you guys are mean. And this is, it's like a campy girly script. And I feel like a lot of times Blacklist has like a prestige to it. And I was like, you're all going to be mean as hell. Like, no.
Oh, man. Okay. Do you have any advice for screenwriters or individuals that are trying to make content? You kind of discussed this, but just to put a nice little bow on top of it, if anyone is trying to do what you guys are doing right now from the content creation side, is there any pieces of advice for them?
I would say just find your niche and find the thing that you can do that not necessarily someone else can do who's in the same field. Like I know there's a lot of sort of screenwriting accounts out there and sort of like writing inspiration accounts, but you know, I think the game of content is just, there's so much of it. So how do you stop someone from scrolling in a half a second the moment they see your video? So I would say, yeah, like find what is the sort of specific weird thing. What's your thing?
I agree. There's a woman who's in this writer's room with me, and she did sports her entire life and then went to college and also played sports. And she was like, it was the most intense experience. She's like, I think it trained me to be a writer, like all the ups and downs and that you just don't win sometimes. And she was like, I'm interested in doing social media. I was like, that's your thing. Talk about how being an athlete works with being a screenwriter and like all of these crossovers. And I'm like, and I had her go on my TikTok and just introduce herself, filled with comments of people who are like, I'm an athlete, or I was a college athlete, or like, I spent my whole life doing track. Like, this is how I feel too. So it's like your audience is out there. Like, your niche is a lot bigger, I think, than you think. So like, dive into the thing that you're like really excited about, and consistency. I do a 7-second video sometimes when I'm like, I got nothing to say, not a thought in this little head, but it's just to get something out there.
Oh my God. I ramble so much. I could ramble for 7 seconds before I even start. I'm like, well,
I'm so jealous of that. Oh God, like I have a lot of thoughts, but to like the Nick thing, I'm like, they are not cohesive. No one would understand a thing in this head.
Tasha, do you want to take us home?
Quote of the day.
Let's go.
Amateurs sit and wait for inspiration. The rest of us just get up and go to work. Stephen King. Please remember to rate and subscribe. Follow us at ActTwoWriters for more awesome writing stuff. You can follow me, Tasha Story Thursday on Instagram, or Tasha 3.0 on Twitter.
I'm Joshua Hallman on Twitter, Josh Hallman on Instagram. Kristen, Nick, want to throw out your handles that people already know?
Please listen to our podcast, The Hollywood Hang.
It's really good.
You can find me on TikTok at Nicholas Curcio Writer and Instagram at Nicholas Curcio.
Double what he said. Yes. Listen to our pod. It's very fun. It's a hang just like this. This like felt like I love the vibes of this. This was lovely, by the way. And TikTok, Tepper Talks, so TOKS, and then my full name, which is Kristen Tepper at Instagram.
And as always, Act Two Podcast is a production of Act Two, a network and support group for the everyday working screenwriter. This episode was edited by Paul Lundquist.